How's it going? This is Corbett Mower Repair. We've got a Stihl 028 in for repair today. We're going to do, this thing's been sitting up. I poured the fuel out and it had what looked like stump water in it. So we're going to redo the fuel system, carburetor, fuel line, all that good stuff. First thing you want to do is empty your fuel out, and then we want to reach in here and grab our fuel filter. I like to take me just a piece of wire and reach in there and pull it out. So I'm gonna do that real quick and then we'll proceed. All right, got our fuel filter out. Now we wanna, I've already loosened mine, but you'll loosen that up, get your choke down so that if it's up all the way, your cover, it'll be in the way of your cover. So just push that down, loosen that up, and then that's gonna come off. Take you a flat-headed screwdriver and remove this air filter. And keep in mind, on this setup, your choke is right here. When you push your choke down, it pushes that tab up, which pushes into this and closes your choke right there. Now the reason why I'm telling you this is your kit, aftermarket stuff, it's going to come with this. And I think the air filter itself is fine, but sometimes this part doesn't work very well. Like when you choke it, it doesn't engage that all the way, and so it might only be like half closed instead of fully closed. But we'll look at it and see. I really hate to reuse this one, but they usually clean up pretty good. So if I have to, I'll just clean that one up and we'll be fine. All right, the next step, we want to remove these two 8mm nuts. All right, next thing we want to do is remove our throttle lever here from the carburetor. I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, but what you want to do is pull your trigger down. I'll try to do it one-handed. Reach in there and grab that throttle lever right there. And while holding that down, it'll make it to where you can grab your rod here and just pick it up and move it over to the side. All right, we got our throttle cable moved over to the side there. Like I said, you're just gonna pull that down towards you and then take you some pliers or something and grab your rod, and then it'll move over to the side. All right, what we want to do now is take this fuel line off right here. I'm not worried about messing it up because we're gonna replace it. Just slide that off, and then I like to grab it. It'll be kind of snug in there mainly due to this, but grab that impulse pipe there and just give it a good jerk out. All right. And we're ready to get our other carburetor. All right, while we're here, we want to inspect all this. Make sure that this ring is still here. Sometimes if you're going in behind somebody else, a lot of times that ring will be gone. And the reason why that's there is to keep this intake from collapsing. So make sure that's there. Make sure this gasket or this intake seal, make sure it's good and still pliable. And you want to check this. This is your impulse tube. Make sure that it's good and pliable steel, and this one is. So we're going to go ahead and change this fuel line though, and you just want to give it a good pull up and pull that one out. And my kit, the kit comes with this, and I'm just not a fan, to be honest with you. What I like to do on these is take, I'm not saying you can't use that, and I'm not saying it won't work, but I'm not a fan. This aftermarket line here, and it hardens up pretty quick. And then also, this is too long, and so I'm gonna have to cut it. And what I like to do is take me one of these grommets right here. You can get a pack of like 10 online for a little to nothing. What I like to do is use this in that hole. And then we're going to take some line, something like this, and it just holds up better. But like I said, you can use this if you want to, but you are going to have to cut it, because if you don't, it'll get kinked and it'll block off the fuel. So I'm going to install this grommet, put my fuel line through it, and then we'll proceed. All right, when it comes to how to install this line in that grommet, it can be a little aggravating. What I do is I take my line and I cut an angle all the way down it, because you got plenty of slack, and then you'll just start it in your hole there. And after you drop it in the floor like me, pick it back up and just get it going through the hole. And then once you've got that part off that you've got cut, you'll be able to reach in that side, grab it with your pliers and pull it through. All right, so once you get it pushed through, it'll look something like that. And then I'm gonna run in here with these pliers and pull it out. All right, I got this run through. And I got all this slack hanging out on this end. We'll address that here in just a minute. At this point, we're gonna go ahead and install our carburetor. Main thing is your impulse tube here. It's gotta go in that. So just make sure as it slides down that it goes in that, and be sure to move these wires out of the way. I still got one in the way right there. Bear with me. Now, all right, and we want to make sure that it's lining up in that. There we go. And then I always grab me some pliers and grab this impulse line, and don't do anything overbearing, but just give it a snug forward just to make sure it's up. Okay, and so now what we want to do is we're going to run this fuel line to that pipe right there. Now it's important that you don't get it too short so that the line is under tension, but don't get it too long either so that it's going to get in the way of your linkage and everything. So I'm going to cut that to length, get that on, and let you see what it should look like. All right, I got my fuel line installed. It ought to look something like this. The main thing is, like I said, it's not too long so that it's getting in the way of your linkage or anything, but also it's not too short that it's under tension, or that it's, make sure it's not kinked. And then with all this slack we've got hanging out here, I'm gonna cut it about right there, put my fuel filter, my new fuel filter on it, and throw it back in the tank. All right, and the only thing to pay attention to when it comes to where you've got your air filter is fuel filter, is just make sure it's sitting in the bottom of the tank like this. And I don't know if you can see the end of it there, but just make sure it's sitting flat on the bottom of the tank. All right, and I got my throttle linkage reinstalled. I can't do it one-handed on camera. Just, again, you're just gonna pull that throttle lever all the way down, and then you'll set your rod over it. All right, now we're ready to tighten it back down. Just make sure you don't use an impact. Don't be like those irresponsible guys, using impacts and stuff on this. That's very irresponsible. You don't want to do that. All right, thank the good Lord, my air filter cleaned up pretty good. But if I was going to have to use this one, so your top actually screws in to that stud right there, and notice they send these with this deal in there. It splits apart pretty easy, and you'll have to pop that one out of there like so, and then put it back together, and then you can use that if you have to. So I'm gonna put my cover back on here and make sure it's cranking and running good. And that's what we want. Now the carburetor I got coming right out of the box, it was running way too rich. I'd rather them send them, running too rich than too lean. But on mine, I idled it up, and it didn't matter how much I cranked it down, it wouldn't pick up the idleness just because it was running too rich. And I wound up doing one full turn in. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but got any questions, please reach out. Hope you have a blessed day. Hope this helped.